In the single digits, people, 9 days until the 2021 NFL Draft in Cleveland. It's presented by Verizon. The whole thing starts Thursday, April 29th in prime time on NFL Network, ABC, and ESPN. It's heating up in the top 10. Our own NFL Network insider, Ian Rappaport, gave us this news yesterday. The Dolphins have already moved around in the draft, but they're getting calls from teams looking to jump up to that number 6 pick. Maybe that's what they wanted all along. A little bargaining chip there, a place to move and get more assets while they're considering another move in Miami, as Ian just said. This is Good Morning Football. Lots to discuss here at the old breakfast table. It is Tuesday, April 20th, otherwise known as Peter Schrager's birthday. Hey, lots to celebrate today.
Happy birthday, Shrakes.
Happy 420, America. Every year we do this.
And on your birthday eve, you were toiling away at a mock draft that was released. Talk to me.
Nothing better. So my mock draft 2.0 will be released today. I've been on the phones the last few days really hammering this in, and there are some big surprises. We'll discuss it on the show, but thank you for the birthday wishes.
We weren't going to tell you, but we have a cake, and Rashad Bateman's going to jump on the cake and be like, yay, happy birthday, Peter.
Najee Harris goes 19.
Hey. We got Snoop Dogg bringing in some treats.
Yes.
For your birthday. Draft stock's very high today.
Is it up right now?
It is not up yet. It's going to go up in a little bit this morning. So
okay, so we can't talk about this.
Where's Quiddy Pay?
Quiddy Pay is on.
All right.
Yeah. Nate Burleson, Kyle Brandt, tweet your happy birthdays to one Peter Schrager at P. Schrags. It is time for the lead block.
Lead block.
Yes, let's talk about Trey Lance. We told you yesterday he's having his second collegiate pro day. The Niners, the Patriots, the Falcons, they were among the teams up at North Dakota State watching Lance put on a show. He's likely to come off the board early on night one. How early, of course, is that question? I asked the guys yesterday, is this the quarterback that has the most question marks, the wild card? Yeah, was the answer, unanimously pretty much. So some mock drafts have him selected at 3, others in the mid-teens. Peter, can I say where you have him?
Yeah, go for it.
You have him, I loved this. The Broncos get him at 9. He falls to them. I love that. So we'll break down Mock Draft 2.0 at NFL.com/Schrager in a bit. But Trey Lance played 17 games in college. He won them all. There are still plenty of unknowns with this one particular prospect. Could Trey Lance's lack of college experience somehow actually work in his favor, Nate?
Yeah, it depends on where he lands, especially if there's a veteran in front of him. You have a young guy who doesn't have experience. If he lands on a team where he's thrown right into the fire, it's going to take some time. But what I love about quarterbacks with big question marks around them, if they go somewhere where a veteran is, they can just sit back, learn the game from the sideline, which is one of the best things. I say it all the time. Yeah. If you can watch the game from a bird's eye view, it'll be so much better when you get back on the field. And we have some examples. I mean, just look at this. Patrick Mahomes, you remember those question marks? He comes in, he's playing behind Alex Smith. That was in 17. Aaron Rodgers, we know this one with Brett Favre. Even though that relationship wasn't harmonious, still. Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees, Carson Palmer, John Kitna. John Kitna is a big brother to everybody. And Michael Vick, Chris Chandler. These are all individuals you can watch and learn from. And it's not necessarily the quarterback that has to teach you everything. It's also watching a quarterback and learning what not to do when you get on the field. So it isn't a bad thing that he doesn't have experience. I think that's the most exciting part about it, is that the potential is through the roof, and he can sit back and watch the game as a rookie and not be thrown into the flames. He'll be even better when he gets into the sophomore season.
San Fran has 3, that's Garoppolo, and Atlanta has 4, that's Matt Ryan. Is that the ideal situation?
Perfect situations, right? You get to learn from some veterans who are clearly respected but on their way out, and then the coach, he can throw you in as he sees fit rather than rushing you in.
Smart.
This draft process is every year we do it, and every year it's the same thing, and we look at it and we're like, this is just crazy. We nitpick these prospects so much, and it starts at the combine usually, but this year was even before that because there was no combine. Trey Lance is being nitpicked, but I don't think he's being nitpicked as much as the other guys, and by that I mean Mac Jones and Justin Fields, and let me explain.
What do you mean?
North Dakota State. All right? Yeah, Carson Wentz went there. Easton Stick went there. We've had some other players come out of there as college prospects, but he's only thrown about 200 passes in his college career. He's played in 17 games, but when a team goes up to North Dakota State to talk about Trey Lance, they're doing flips about Trey Lance, and they are selling their product. This is Trey Lance. This is why he's the greatest quarterback we've ever had. This is why he's the next franchise quarterback. And if he goes where Wentz went, 2nd overall or 3rd overall or 4th overall, North Dakota State becomes kind of a quarterback place to go for high school recruits.
Smart.
If you're Ohio State or Alabama, you've had scouts in your building for the last 2 decades. Anything Justin Fields did at Georgia was known. Anything Justin Fields did at Ohio State has been known. If there's something to nitpick, that he was late to a practice, or if he threw an incomplete against Indiana, or he threw an interception against Northwestern, there have been eyes on Justin Fields picking him apart over the course of 2 major college programs. So Justin Fields lost out to Jake Fromm in a quarterback competition at Georgia. That's viewed as a negative on him. That is a major strike that Jake Fromm was the leader at Georgia. And whether that's fair or not, Trey Lance never had to go up against a Jake Fromm. Trey Lance never had to battle against another highly recruited quarterback out of high school. The same thing goes for Mac Jones. He didn't start over Tua. Well, Tua was the 5th overall pick in the NFL draft. So you start picking apart and prodding these guys, and there's so many NFL feet on the ground there that these guys, if there's even a blemish, it's out there. Trey Lance is a great kid. Trey Lance is awesome. Trey Lance has awesome potential. If there are blemishes, they're not being advertised, and the NFL did not have boots on the ground to discover it. So I think it actually helps in the pre-draft process where what might even not be a glaring negative is blown out of proportion with the big school guys. But in Trey Lance's case, we wouldn't even know about it, and we're certainly not hearing about it.
The magnifying glass factor is totally different. And look, I don't think that the lack of experience or the small school thing is this all-encompassing negative. But I can't get so far that it's a positive. I'm not ready to go that Pollyanna on it. I like Trey Lance. It's so much. It's like, oh, someone has 50 different injuries. Well, they're tough. It's like, I can't have that glass as half empty or half full, whatever it is. Like, there's this idea that, oh, he's inexperienced, he doesn't have a lot of bad habits. Well, does he have good habits? Like, does he have those? Right. Are you telling me you could not snap your fingers right now and make that Trey Lance started 11 games last year? You wouldn't take that? Of course you would. You want to see more of him. And I just think, like, I will never forget when Dak Prescott was a rookie, having this storybook sensational year, and Erin Andrews was standing with him in Lambeau Field, and she was like, what do you think of this, Dak? Lambeau Field, pretty crazy, right? And he's like, I don't know. I played in the SEC. Like, I'm not that impressed. Justin Herbert goes on the field against the Chiefs with 10 minutes notice and was like, fine, I played against USC, I played against Stanford. Trey Lance is losing to Central Arkansas, it feels like. It's like, I do think there is a point where it's like, yeah, I want some competition. I want crazy pass rushers coming after this guy if I'm going to spend the number 3 pick on him in the draft. But, Nate, your point is really valid. Like, are you going to start this guy week 1 of his rookie year? Probably not. However, so if you look at, let's say New England takes him. I don't think he's starting. Chicago, I don't think he's starting. Washington, I don't think he's starting. Atlanta, no. If Denver goes up and takes him, Drew Lock is your mentor? You have to sit behind Drew Lock? Or no, are you going to beat him out? I think if Denver takes Trey Lance, he could be under center 1st and 10 from the 25 in week 1. And then we're into the unknown. Because then his last game was here, and his first game is against, the Chiefs. And then I'm not so sure. So if you're taking him with a definite built-in plan that, we got a year, 2 years behind Matt Ryan, we love you, kid. Otherwise, it's a little nuts,
So you are a little worried about the competition factor. Who have you played? Okay, but it wasn't like 10-6 with average numbers. He was 16-0 and didn't throw a single interception. He was a national champion. And I ask you, I know he plays at a lower level. He didn't have big games against Alabama. He also didn't have big receivers like those schools have to throw to. I ask you this, Nate, to the player, don't you feel the big game pressure and the weight of that moment, even despite outside perception like Kyle, that it's not a huge game? I know it's not the same thing, but to that player, to him playing in that huge national championship game, isn't that a huge thing to him? And then to be the MVP of that game and show up unquestionably, I guess Central Arkansas would be your argument there, though.
Yeah, and it's not perfect, but you're still staying, what, a title game is a title game.
It's a big game. It's a huge game. And we've seen quarterbacks like Jimmy Garoppolo come out of that level of football and have success. And Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't throwing 0 interceptions and leading his team to 16-0, I don't think so. McNair, like we've seen players come from that level and succeed, so that would be my argument to
I see it both ways. I went to University of Nevada, Reno. We were a few years removed from being D1 AA, and then prior to that, we were even smaller. We didn't play against a ton of big talent. We played against Hawaii, Fresno State. I played against David Carr. Yeah. Played against BYU. That was the biggest for me, and it was a big deal. I got in the league, and I remember my first time in Green Bay. It was like I was a fan. So as soon as I walked out of the tunnel and I felt the energy, saw the crowd, I felt the crisp air hit my skin, the fans yelling at me, I was slightly overwhelmed. And I'm a wide receiver. I'm not touching the ball every play. I had to snap out of it, and as soon as I took my first hit, wiped my nose, got back up, it's football again. But I do think there's something to that, though. If he goes out there and he starts week 1, he's going to have to battle, 1, the expectation.